So I'm going to start with the first one from Logesh Warren. Let's go through a few of them and see on which one we can kind of give the most feedback on, right? Let's try this out, okay? This render is a bedroom render, and what I would say is the main issue is the composition. So what we can do is I would definitely lower the like eyesight or the point of view here and try to capture a different angle, and this whole room definitely needs some more context. So maybe a bedside table here, right? And another one over there, maybe some lighting coming from like the ceiling down here. Maybe the design choices weren't your kind of call, but that can definitely help. The lighting doesn't look that bad, honestly. It looks like kind of is an early morning type of stuff. Overall, pretty good. The wallpaper looks good. The composition is fine. These pillows, I'm a bit skeptical about them since I do not think they're sitting well. I guess you added these on top of an already existing model, right? So these pillows, maybe I think they're taken from Enscape. That is one thing, and I would definitely try to make this material a bit more realistic. Maybe try to use a PBR material or something like that. But overall, I like the materials. Main thing here, composition, and maybe some more context in terms of design, but definitely composition can make this look a whole lot better. First things first, try to use another rug, and I wouldn't advise you to use the Enscape fur or carpet material because it's just a bit unnatural, especially from the side like this. If you wouldn't be seeing the sides, maybe it would look a bit better, right? It looks a bit too cold, so maybe try to turn up or kind of change the color temperature or maybe even the saturation. And these materials here, this looks a bit too reflective. It looks like it's marble, but I'm guessing it's not supposed to be. We need some more detailing in terms of the modeling, even here at the intersection of the wall and the floor. Also, try to not use too much uniform vegetation like this. Maybe change the rotation of them a bit, maybe the size of them, maybe what type of plants. The same with these ones, they're completely placed in the same way. This one is a bit rotated, I think, but yeah, try to rotate them and change all of the different angles and all that, right? Even these, they look a bit too uniform, which I wouldn't advise you to kind of keep them that way. This looks a bit too flat. I'm not sure if they are 3D or are they supposed to be lit up, but maybe try to put some more attention into these as well. And as far as lighting goes, it just looks a bit too flat, right? We need a bit more shadows, a bit more of a direct idea of where light is coming from. So maybe try to direct it like from this side. Usually, most of the time, what I would advise as a general rule of thumb, I do not like to keep the camera angle from where like the view is coming from and where the sun is coming from on the same way. Once again, as I said earlier, these two plants are the same height, same rotation, same everything. This is not usually advised. We need some more randomization here, and the TV is just way too reflective. These are just some of the things that I would say you need to improve, just top of my mind. Sometimes I'm not sure if I should comment on the design choices or only strictly the render, because it's just a bit too messy as far as all the different materials that are being used here, right? All of this different stuff. One thing for sure, try to use an HDRI. I think right here you're using an Enscape Sky. Maybe switch out the cards for something a bit more realistic and try to add a depth of field here, maybe more focus on the actual building, because there's just too much going on and taking attention away. There's not enough, I guess, separation between the different layers of depth of the elements placed here, right? That's the main thing. And honestly, what would fix this render the most, I think, would be the lighting and also fixing up the whole like surrounding. So that is my take on this. But honestly, I think the main problem is, I guess, these design choices and the material choices. I'm guessing you probably weren't in control of that, but trust me, it's very hard to get out a good render if the actual design is not good by itself. Even the black here seems a bit too harsh, so maybe tone it down to, I guess, a dark gray or something like that. So yeah, also try to separate the layers of where these trees are placed. It almost looks like a big bush here instead of like separate trees, right? So keep that in mind when doing exterior renders, especially. As far as this render goes, I really like the lighting. So the way that it's coming in, the material is looking very cool. The wood here is looking perfect, right? Like, as far as the building goes, I love it, right? It's looking very good. What I think would make it better is maybe some more attention here in the foreground, maybe a higher quality car here or a vehicle. maybe some more context in terms of story, maybe some people there, and maybe some, I guess, vegetation here at the balcony. I don't know, it just needs a bit more context overall, maybe some more variety here at the vegetation as well, over here as well. Like, I think the main issue here would be the surrounding, and that's me being maybe probably a bit too picky, because overall the lighting looks great and the materials on the building looks great, even the forms and the, like, the shapes look perfect. So that's just one thing on my side. Take care of the surroundings a bit better, replace this car with some looking a bit more realistic, add some more variations with the vegetation, add something over here as well. And yeah, other than that, very good. I like this a lot. First of all, take off this background. This is Skybox default in Escape. Try to switch it out for an HDRI, and that is going to help with lighting a lot as well. The line lights behind the TV are just a bit too strong, and the main issue here are composition and lighting. And I mean, the materials are okay, but one thing, like, what would make the biggest difference here is if you take the camera a bit backwards and try to get an angle where maybe you're facing something like this, if you get what I'm saying. So maybe this edge of the wall, I guess this corner, is in the center of your kind of view, and I guess that could kind of help a bit more. And try to keep the camera in a straight angle rather than kind of looking down as what it is doing right now. Other than that, I would say turn off the sun brightness of Enscape completely, and maybe direct some spotlights from the outside. I'm not sure if you already done that, but even if you did, it's not very like viewable. You cannot really see that effect that much, because I think you need to turn on the intensity of the exterior lighting and tone down the intensity of the interior lighting. So that's what I have to say. What I would say for this one, honestly, it's quite good. I'm not sure why it's so low resolution. It almost looks like a screenshot, to be honest. This right here, I can tell that it's Enscape model. Honestly, it's looking pretty very good, but I think the main issue here is color correction. So what I would say it has to do with color correction here is that it's a bit too dark and maybe a bit too warm. So maybe I would make it a bit cooler and increase the exposure here, right? Other than that, honestly, I wouldn't change much. It looks very good. It's well balanced. The composition is good. Maybe the carpet can be like switched out or something, but honestly, that it doesn't even bother me too much. Main thing here, color correction. Try to brighten it up a bit and maybe change the saturation or the color temperature of it. So yeah, that's what I have for this render. So first of all, I would make the aspect ratio at least widescreen or something similar to that, because this is kind of a weird aspect ratio. It doesn't fill up the whole screen either. The design choices, I'm not going to talk about them too much, but the main thing is I would add an HDRI that matches well with the lighting that you're going for. And yeah, I mean, I would definitely play around a bit more with the surroundings. I would take off the flock of birds there. That is a bit like cliche and overused, so I wouldn't want that. And honestly, the composition, maybe go a bit backwards, capture a bit more of the road, add more context to people walking around. Maybe the vegetation needs to have a bit more variety. And the other thing that I would say is that if the exterior lighting, so the sun, is this harsh as it's hitting here, right, then maybe like artificial light cannot be this strong, right, because it looks a bit too much. So the balance between the artificial light and the natural light has to be here. So what I would do is first add the HDRI. That's going to make the biggest difference, and take care of the lighting. Once you take care of the lighting, go for the composition, go for something a bit more backwards that captures the road and add more context to the surroundings. That's what I can see here. Maybe add some people here in the balconies, maybe over here, but yeah, those are the main thing. Overall, I think once you do those, there's going to be a huge improvement in this render. The lighting looks nice and soft, the modeling looks good, the materials look all right. Maybe I would add more reflections to these wall panels over there, but what I would say needs improvement is the composition, right? So if you try to guess where the center of this render is definitely not where the center of the actual bed is either, right? So maybe try to move the camera a bit more to the left and facing parallel to this wall here. Also, yeah, maybe adding something like a picture or maybe a mirror here helps as well. Maybe add a carpet here because it looks a bit too empty. Maybe a larger plant. I'm not sure you would add that anyway, but yeah, those are kind of the main things. What I would say is maybe we need a bit more shadows. Maybe the shadows are just way too soft right now, right? And then maybe lower down the intensity of the artificial lights. But overall, it looks very good. I'm just being a bit too picky, but at the end of the day, if that's what you want, like feedback on this, that's what I would say would be helpful in this case. So for the final render, let's go here at markup. I'm gonna go to markup. What I would say is turn off the sun of the Turn off the Enscape Sun completely and add artificial lights in exterior. I love the way that it looks here in the back. Honestly, it looks very good. But what I would say is the sky looks a bit too white. So maybe the sky can use some help into being a bit more realistic. So maybe try to add an HDRI. And the whole render looks a bit and not enough saturated, I would say, right? So let me just try and add some saturation in. Something like this could help. Maybe it's not perfect the way that I'm doing it right now, but maybe with some tweaking the software as well, it can help. And definitely try to add an HDRI with the sky looking more realistic there. The other thing is the plants as well. I think someone mentioned in the comment of the school post as well. So try to tweak it in the plants, like try to make the plants a lot more realistic too. That could definitely help. And the composition, like usually an area like this, I think doing renders area by area would look best, because right now there's a bit too much information to gather and not a single point of direction. And kind of, I guess if someone was scrolling and seeing this render, it would just be too much to take in and it would just scroll away. So what I would say is, if you're presenting this render, just do area by area for render. I understand that maybe you want to show the inside out connection of the design or something like that, but yeah, I'd say even the composition needs a bit more improvement, but overall it's looking good. As I said, I like the way that the outside there looks as well. If you take these comments in, I think it can definitely improve.